If there's one thing better than smart technology, it's smart technology that solves everyday problems and looks this good. So let's check out the Weffort Smart Motorized Window Shades. Hello and welcome! Today it's all about smart home technology and specifically smart motorized window shades from the company Weffort. Now, Weffort reached out to me a few weeks ago and asked if I would be interested in testing their smart motorized window shades, and I jumped at the chance because I actually had two key window shade related challenges that I needed help with. So today I'm going to take you through the whole experience from start to finish and cover everything you need to know along the way. Now, there's a lot to cover, so as usual, I'll place the chapters up here and on the video timeline. But before we get into it, an important disclaimer. The window shades featured in this video were provided at no cost from Weffort, but only under the conditions that firstly, I would inform my viewers of this, and secondly, that any video I produce would be my own work without any influence or input from Weffort. Now, not only did Weffort fully agree to these terms, but they also provided me with a custom link and a discount code offering an 8% discount to TTL viewers. I'll place details of that on the screen here, and I'll also include those in the video description. So, back to the video. As mentioned, I have two challenges for Weffort shades, the first of which being a bedroom window, or to be more accurate, a sliding glass door which leads out onto a balcony. Now, this window faces directly east with a pretty much unobstructed view of the sunrise, which in summertime can be as early as just after 5 AM. And as you can see, this is just too much for our current drapes to handle. Now, the goal here is not to achieve a complete blackout, but simply to increase the darkening effect so the bedroom isn't flooded with light too early in the morning. The second challenge is a TV room, where once again, instead of a window, we have a large sliding glass door. Now, it provides the room with a great view and lots of natural light, but this can be overwhelming if you're trying to enjoy a game or watch a movie. Now, the goal here is not simply to darken the room, but to have a solution which allows you to vary the amount of light. But here it was also critical to have a solution that looks good regardless of how it's being used. When it comes to configuring and ordering your Weffort smart shades, you have two choices. You'll find a Weffort store on Amazon.com, or you can order direct through Weffort's own website. Now, I'll provide links to both in the video description, but personally I prefer to order through the Weffort website, as there seem to be more options there and the process is a little more thorough. Whichever you choose, you will find a wide variety of smart window shades in all kinds of styles, colors, and with various configuration options, and of course fully compatible with all major home automation ecosystems. Now, the customization process is pretty self-explanatory, and there's plenty of support information to guide you through the process. If you need further advice, I highly recommend using the Get in Touch option, where you can get expert advice regarding what type of blind best suits your need, as well as how best to configure them. For my projects, I decided on a blackout roller shade for the bedroom, and depending on where you're from, a zebra or zebra shade for the TV room. Now, one extra challenge I had to resolve for both of my projects was that each of them had a door handle which extended about 1.5 inches into the window frame. In the case of the roller shade, we resolved this by using a reverse roll position, where the shade rolls off the front of the roller rather than the more traditional rear position. And for the zebra shades, this was addressed by using spacers to mount the shade away from the window. One final tip regarding ordering: be sure to order at least one basic remote control, as this is required for setting the open and close positions of the blind. A couple of weeks after placing my order, my custom-made blinds were delivered and it was time to get them installed. The blinds were very well packed and included everything required for the installation. Mounting the blinds is very simple using the included spring clips, each of my blinds coming with 3. And with the clips firmly mounted, it's simply a case of snapping the blind into place. After taking the motor out of its sleep mode, the first thing you may want to do is adjust the upper and lower limits. To adjust the upper limit, press and hold the up and stop buttons on the remote for 5 seconds. And you can now adjust the upper limit using the up and down arrows in about 1/4 inch increments. Once you're satisfied, press and hold the up and stop buttons for 2 seconds, and the blind jogs twice to confirm the setting. Now whenever you open your blind, this will be the upper limit that it stops at. And of course you can do the same process for the lower limit by using the down arrows and stop button on the remote. Okay, next I'm going to add my new smart blind to my home automation system. Now you can do this any stage of the installation, so if you're installing the blinds in a hard to access location, you may want to do this before installing them. If, like me, you are adding this to an Amazon ecosystem, you need to be aware that at least one of your Amazon Echo devices must have a built-in Zigbee hub, and that is the one you'll need to use for the setup process. So with my compatible Amazon Echo device at the ready, all I need to do is press and hold the button on the motor for 6 seconds. The motor jogs twice and the LED illuminates red, indicating that it is now in pairing mode. And finally, on my Amazon Echo device, start the discovery process. Discover my devices.
Starting discovery. This will take a few moments. Power on your new devices now, and if needed, put them in pairing mode.
Now, on the first attempt, the discovery process actually failed.
I couldn't find any new smart home devices.
But on the second attempt, I successfully discovered my new smart blind, and I was in business. In order to operate your Weffort smart blind, you can of course use the remote control, but my interest is much more in controlling it through my home automation system, which in my case is Amazon. Now the best way to control the smart blind through is by using routines. Now you can control the blind directly using Alexa, and the way you do that is by using a number from 0 meaning fully open to 100 meaning fully closed, or anything in between. But there is one small issue when controlling the blind in this way, and that is that Alexa waits for a confirmation, and if the operation takes too long, you get an error message. So for example, if the blind is fully open, so at the 0 position, and you were to say TV room blind to 5, as you can see, this works without any issue, but if we were to go for a longer operation, for example from 0 to 20, we get an error message. TV room blind to 20.
Sorry, TV room blind appears to be malfunctioning.
So clearly there was no malfunction, but because I didn't get the confirmation within the designated time, we got an error message, which of course is pretty annoying. But the good news is if you incorporate those commands into a routine, apparently Alexa no longer waits for that confirmation and you do not get an error message. And you'll see some examples of my routines later on. Now, Weffort's smart motorized shades are available with both hardwired and battery motors, but I think most people are going to opt for the battery motor. It's easier to install, it looks better when installed, and as an added bonus, you can open and close your shades even when the power is out. But obviously with battery operated shades, there is the concern about battery life. Well, the good news is, according to Weffort, you should see around about 6 months of operation based on normal use. And when the battery is completed, it's simply a case of plugging into the USB port to recharge, with a full charge taking around about 6 to 7 hours, and this could even be done using a power bank. Now, if your shades are in a hard-to-reach location, or you simply want to have the added convenience, you can also opt for a solar panel. This discrete panel sits behind your shade, and with just a couple of hours of sun each day, you'll probably never have the need to plug in and charge. Now, one tip here, if you do opt for the solar panel, make sure you also configure the motor on the right-hand side of your shade. That way the USB port will be at the back, and any wiring to the solar panel will be nicely hidden. For the bedroom, we went with a blackout roller shade in a caramel linen finish, which fits perfectly with our decor. We also opted for the light blocker rails, which really enhance the darkening performance. How well does it work? Well, let's take a look. Starting with the drapes drawn but the blind fully open. And as the blind closes, you can clearly see how much it darkens the room. Now, of course, I have routines for opening and closing the blind using voice commands. But I also created a morning wake-up routine, which slightly raises the blind at 6:45 and opens it completely 15 minutes later. For the TV room, we opted for a zebra shade in a bold blue color, which really adds to the aesthetic of the room. The zebra shade really is the perfect solution here because it allows you to control the amount of light. Here I created a couple of routines, one for casual TV viewing. Let's watch TV. And one for more serious viewing. Movie time. So I am really impressed with my Weffort smart shades. They solve exactly the problems that I set out to solve. They were really simple to install and they look great. If you're interested in learning more about Weffort smart shades, follow this link to the Weffort website, and if you do end up ordering, remember to use discount code TTL8 for an 8% discount. So that wraps it up for another video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please remember to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for a lot more similar content. If you have any questions, any comments, if you want to share your experience or make suggestions for future videos, please drop those into the comments section. Otherwise, thanks again for watching.